What's up, everybody? Silver here with another Halo Master Chief Collection Achievement Guide. Why? Because there's a ton of them, so I don't think I'll ever do any guides for any other games because, my god, are there a lot in this one. We are approaching 2/3 way done, though. This is official business, which is to complete Gravemind, finishing with a total score of 11,000 or more. So this is get the par score, which again is 11,000. So you start off with the platypus of all weapons, the most useless one, the Needler, but you want to target the left brute immediately, and you want to back up and kind of weave a bunch so he doesn't shoot with the plasma rifle as much as he would normally. You want to proceed to kill the enraged brute when he charges you with the Needler again, so it super combines, and then you want to kill the 4 grunts as you see, and you want to go to this position, and you will despawn the first 2 or 3 waves of enemies. You want to line up so the door frame is touching those lights that I just zoomed in on. So you could get in this door by moving to the side of this doorway. Even though it is locked, there's a red light indicating that it's locked and you can't get in it. But if you actually move to the side of the door, it will open. So, like I showed in this video here. Eventually, after 3 checkpoints, a grunt will spawn behind you if you did this despawn properly. And it will skip to the wave of enemies with the brute chieftain. And once that happens, you'll be able to smack the grunt that spawns behind you like I did just there, and there are 3 more grunts you have to deal with along with 3 brutes. I tried to stick the brute chieftain as he came up through the floor, but unfortunately I missed. But that's kind of good, so I could show you how to kill him, you know, if you end up not sticking him. So just, you know, unload with your Needler, obviously, like you saw I just did there. Other options are to try to stick him again. You should start off with a bunch of grenades. Also, you should have the Pinata skull on. It doesn't have a multiplier. It's a 1x multiplier, so it doesn't increase your score. But every time you smack an enemy, they drop grenades. So that's very helpful for replenishing your supply of grenades. So once you kill all of the enemies except for 2 of the enemies in that wave with the brute chieftain, you want to be up here because there are 2 brutes that spawn in random locations, and they each have a carbine. So one happened to spawn on the other side of the map over there. So I'm going to try to stick them. So here we go, and I threw it, and it lands a little bit short, unfortunately, so we missed that opportunity. But again, these guys spawn in random locations. There's 6 doors, 3 on each side on the top here where I am. You can see there was a door right behind me at this point. But I'm going to grab this guy's carbine, and that's going to make easy work out of all the enemies down there, especially the grunts. You can obviously just headshot them once with a carbine. This guy's trying to take me out, though, with his carbine. But, you know, we're the Master Chief, so we don't care about that. He's poking his head around the corner. And there we go. So at this point, no more enemies will spawn until you kill everyone, and all there is now is this berserking brute. So I'm just going to run down here, get some grenades, get some ammo for the carbine, and hop back up here. And we could take out this guy in many ways. We could needle him, we could carbine him in the head, we could stick him. Oh my god, I advise not getting that close to him. You could wait for him to get up close to here while you're on one of these pedestals. Stick him and then just jump back up. You don't want to just hover on one of those pillars or pedestals, though, because they will, that brute chieftain, or not chieftain, that brute will smack you if you just stand there, even though you're kind of high up on the ground, off the ground. But at this point, once you kill that guy, there's going to be another wave of enemies. There's going to be 4 grunts and 2 brutes with random weapons. They could have carbines, they could have plasma rifles. So just, you know, take them out, use the high ground as you can, you know, for cover. Obviously, back up if you have no shield and they can't see you, and you could have your shield recharge. So pretty easy. I jumped down there to get more carbine ammo before killing that grunt, so I'll have plenty of ammo for this next wave, this final wave in this room. So again, it's 4 grunts and 2 brutes. And I do have Sputnik on as well. Sputnik does not give you any more points, but it's good for assassinating people. Because when you smack people with the Sputnik skull on, they actually turn around for some reason. The main effect it has is it makes explosions more powerful, so you could grenade jump and rocket jump much more effectively than you would be able to normally without that skull on. So at this point, jump down, bring Cortana to that pedestal. You can see I have the old graphics on. That's because I was trying to line myself up to do that despawn we did earlier. So I forget the fact that I don't have the new graphics on for a little bit, but I do turn them on very soon. Don't worry. This level is actually kind of dark with the new level, or not the new level, the new graphics on. So you might want to keep the old graphics on. Everything's a lot cleaner and the sight lines are better. Also, the lighting is surprisingly better with the old graphics for some reason. It seems like it should be the other way around, and it normally is. But for this level, it's kind of dark with the new graphics, so it's easier to pick out where the grunts and brutes are without these fancy pants graphics on. And oh my god, I don't advise sticking a brute that's berserking right at you, because obviously if I did end up sticking him there, he would just, you know, run right at me and blow up and I'd die. So don't do that. I know I shouldn't do that, and I do it every time, even though I'm thinking this is going to end up pretty poorly for me if I do actually stick him, which is what I'm trying to do. But go up to this door, and you could stick that brute, and hopefully that second brute as well. Sometimes that second brute jumps out of the way once you stick that first one, and you'll have to actually take him out either by sticking him in a much more difficult fashion or just shoot him in the head. Normally he starts berserking, but that time, fortunately, he went into a grenade-throwing animation, so we could easily stick him. And then, obviously, there's two more brutes down the way, so you can see I shot them with the carbine. At that point, there will be a bunch of grunts that come up through that hole over there, that lift. Sometimes there's only 4 or 5, sometimes like 8 or 9 come through. So I'm not sure exactly what triggers more of the grunts to come up and spawn. I don't know. Maybe it's how quickly you shoot and kill them. And at that point, after you kill the grunts, 3 brutes will come up. You want to drop down here and onto that thing I slid off of, that kind of brace. I wanted to land up there so I could easily kill these 2 grunts, the beam rifle jackal and the regular jackal, so I could kill them easily from above. But unfortunately, I slid off. I was not trying to do that. You can see I switched to the new graphics at this point. You want to hang out by this door. Don't just run through, because there's 3 jackals right there. And we killed 2 out of 3, and now 3 out of 3. Checkpoint. We'll take it. At this point, there's going to be a brute over here down the hall. Just headshot him with the carbine. You really want to just fire as quickly as you can when you're trying to headshot brutes, because of the fact that the carbine is it's kind of a ranged weapon, so it's pretty accurate, but it's way less accurate than a battle rifle. You could see the spread on the carbine bullets are kind of erratic, so you can't really aim exactly where you want to aim with the carbine. So you should just, you know, shoot the carbine as quickly as you can in a short period of time, so you could headshot those brutes and get them out of the picture as quickly as possible. Because A, they will no longer be a threat to you if they're dead, so, you know, there's that. But also, you want to try to get through the level as quickly as you can, because there is a time multiplier if you finish in a certain period of time. So go through here. You could try to pick off a couple grunts, but be aware that there's 2 jackals that come up behind you, so that's why I moved back here, and I threw that grenade at that door where they come out of. I thought I would kill both of them with that grenade, but unfortunately I only killed 1. But no worries, I just moved back into that tunnel and took them out with the carbine. And up here, there's going to be 2 brutes and a handful of grunts, so nothing too crazy. Just kind of hang back and take out the brute and any grunts that come your way. And the second brute will obviously probably berserk, so you could just hang back, wait for him to charge you, and at that point it's much easier to headshot them. If they're close to you, it's very hard to headshot them when they're charging at you, but if they're far away, it's fairly easy, so nothing too crazy. I hate needlers. When I use them, you know, they're not that powerful, and when enemies use them, they're pretty powerful because they just bend around corners and find you even when you're trying to recharge your shields. Look at this nonsense. Alright, that guy's down. We're good. So we're moving forward. There's a bunch of carbine ammo throughout the whole area, by the way. You probably saw me pick up some from some crates. There's more right up here where I'm going right now. So grab some of that. There's always a jackal to the left and the right of this door. So unfortunately I didn't kill that one on the right quickly. But we got him now, so we're good. And there's always a random amount of brutes in this room right here. You can see 2 popped up right in the middle there. And you actually don't have to kill any of them. You could run right down to the bottom floor and just get in the lift right away. But I figured I'd clear out the area a little bit. On my speed run, I kill a minimal amount of people in here, and I just run straight down and then head down to the prison section. But we're going to take out a couple of them here to make it a little easier. So they come in through the left door, the right door. Some already are in here in the room when you first walk in. It's kind of random. Sometimes there'll be a couple grunts, or only 1 grunt, or no grunts that spawn in the back. There's a door on the opposite side that they come through sometimes, along with another brute. It's very random, this room. I don't know what triggers what, and I spent a lot of time in this room trying to figure all that crap out. But just head down here. You can see Cortana opened up the lift for us. And we're going down here. You could actually descend more quickly if you crouch rapidly. So hit the crouch button repeatedly. And you'll see me start doing that right now. Maybe. Yep, there we go. You can see me starting right there. So on Legendary, you pretty much have two options when you come down here. You could stick both of them like I did right there, or you could stick one and assassinate the other one before that first grenade blows up. It's kind of tough to assassinate both of them because on Legendary, they're much more aware of where you are. And then I like to just drop down to either the second or the third level. And that way you could avoid a lot of the enemies, at least at first. And then I like to drop down ultimately to the third level, the bottom level, and grab a brute shot from this crate you just saw. And I like to allow all the enemies to just pile onto this landing pad here. They like to drop down. They usually don't drop down that quickly in that dense of a pile of enemies. Normally they kind of come down one or two at a time. But the reason I grabbed the brute shot is because of the fact that the melee damage it deals out is actually much higher than a regular weapon. So it actually kills any jackal or grunt in one hit, even if it's in the front of them. Normally you could only one hit kill an enemy if you smack them in the back. But even if you smack a grunt or jackal in the front with a brute shot, it will kill them in one hit. So that is very nice. So I just like to camp out down here and smack all the enemies as they come down. There is a little bit of risk when a brute comes down because he will not die from one hit to the front. But, I mean, it's a good way to streamline all those enemies into one kind of funnel and just take them out one by one. Like the 300 Spartans in Thermopylae in the movie 300. So this section is very annoying because of the fact that it's so random. There's enemies that will spawn out of any of these doors after that initial wave of enemies that are already here when you first come down. There's a bunch of enemies, and they're also in random spots too. Even those enemies are in random spots when you first come down, and then after you kill all those people, there's going to be waves of enemies that come out of any of these doors. And you can see there's like 5 doors on each level, 5 or 6 doors maybe. Or maybe only 4. Yeah, 4 doors on each level, but still, that's 12 doors, and there's going to be enemies that come out of 2 of those. So, and also, you will come down to the middle or the lower level randomly as well. There are Marines that need to be rescued on the middle level and the lower level, so Cortana just randomly picks which one you go to first each time, so there's no preparing for where you should be and when, so that's kind of annoying. There is a crate of carbine ammo here, so that's nice. And here we go. So you can see right there, I was totally unprepared for that. There's enemies that came out of the door right behind me. So you can see I was looking in a totally incorrect direction for that. There's no preparing for that. There's no way to know where they're going to come from. I luckily saw it on my radar and heard them coming with my ear holes. And then there's some enemies down there where I was looking initially. I knew there were going to be enemies there at least because of the fact that we already went to the middle level Marines that we have to rescue, and that is where the lower level Marines are that we have to rescue. So at least where the Marines are is consistent, even if you don't know which one you have to go to first, and even if the enemies are in totally random locations. So grabbing more carbine ammo. There's just some jackals down there and a couple brutes still. Unfortunately, you cannot shoot through that, what looks like glass. It is not glass, it won't shatter. Maybe it is glass, but it definitely won't shatter. You can't shoot through it. So kill that one guy. Now the other one's berserking. How predictable. I thought he was going to come up this lift, but he's going back down there. And we got him. So now we're going to move down. I thought about jumping down right here. That's why I was moving down there. And I'm like, let's play it safe. Let's just go down the lift. I mean, the lift was put here for a reason. Just heading there. And this one, we're just going to stick the brute because he's going to have his back to us. And then we could headshot any remaining grunts. There's 4 grunts sleeping in here, but we're going to wake them up. Stick them in the butt. And then just headshot any other enemies. If we killed all 5, if you got a kill-tacular there, 5 kills, 5 kill multi-kill, you know you got all of them. And we're going to move up to the middle level because we're actually going to despawn some enemies. Oh boy. There's enemies up there though, so I'm going to go back down here briefly. And there's enemies down here now too, so that's great. I'm kind of getting surrounded. Fortunately, there's these Marine friends of mine helping me out. They actually do a really good job here. They usually are not this big of a help. Whoa, grenade. So I guess we could talk about some skulls I have on. I do have on catch, which makes enemies throw more grenades. So that's kind of useful because it allows me to shoot them as they're in the grenade throwing animation or stick them. So that makes it a little bit easier in some ways, even though you have to dodge more grenades But at this point, when Cortana says enemies coming down the lift, you want to get to this middle level, and you want to be in between all these lifts. And that way, the enemies coming down the lift will actually be dead when they reach the bottom. For some reason, I don't know why, it makes no sense, but just hang out here for like 20-30 seconds, and all the enemies will be piled up on the landing pad here, you can see.
Lift is clear. Step on in.
And they're all dead right there. We don't have to deal with them. Obviously, we don't get any points from them, but with the par score, we're really going for a speed element here as well. So once you come up here, you're going to go through this door that you're facing. There's going to be 3 or 4 elites that come out, so I stuck a couple of them. And unfortunately, that guy came down here, but I was able to kill him. Fortunately, he was weak enough from that grenade explosion that I was able to just shoot him a couple times in the head and kill him. And there's also a wave of buggers that come and fight those elites as well, so going for the no-scope there. Got it. So I'm going to grab this sword here. Not really sure why. I'm really just going to use the carbine for the most part, at least for the first part of this level. And by first, I mean this middle part that I'm at right now. There's a bunch of buggers in this room. There's going to be 2 brutes and 2 honor guard elites fighting in this room. If you can, you want to try to kill the elites because they are worth a good amount of points. Honor guards are a ton of points. You can see right there, I just got a bunch. So there's a bunch of brutes over there as well. Well, a bunch, I mean 2. And now there's the berserking brute because I killed one of the 2. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to kill that second honor guard because they are a bunch of points, as I mentioned earlier. But you want to run up here, and you want to throw a grenade a little earlier than I did at the door here, because a wave of buggers come through, and if you time it right, you could actually kill all of them with that grenade. I was a little late on throwing that grenade, so I only got a couple of them. But even so, I could just take them out with the carbine, just shoot a few bursts into each of them, and they're dead. Now let's move on. Again, there's a time element. If you finish in the par time, which is going to be very hard, 20 minutes, you will get a 3 times multiplier. So that's the maximum time multiplier you could get. So if you wind up with 10,000 points and you finish with a 3 times multiplier, what's 3 times 10,000, kids? 30,000. So there's that to consider. I end up getting like a 1.25 multiplier. The longer you take, the less your time multiplier is, obviously. That's how it works. You could get a 0 multiplier, which is terrible. So don't do that. So move through here. And there's going to be 2 hunters in this room. We're totally going to ignore them. There's one to my left and the one up to the left, so you can see right here. And then we're going to go through here. And you could run past all these enemies pretty much. Just hug the right. And sometimes you might get sniped by a beam rifle jackal across the map, but most likely you won't. If you do, just, you know, revert to the last checkpoint. Or actually don't revert to the last checkpoint, because when you do that, you lose more points than if you let the game reset you to your last checkpoint automatically. So just go up here. You can see I killed that beam rifle jackal. He usually won't shoot at you if you go through here quickly enough. Over there is the Cortana toy and a skull, if you don't know about that one yet. I have guides for all the Halo 2 toys up on my channel, so check that out. I also have guides for all of the skulls, and there's also a terminal in this area as well. So I have skull guides, I have terminal guides, I have Halo 2 toy guides. I have all the guides on my channel, and I'm not just talking about Halo 2. I'm talking about all guides for the Master Chief Collection, including Lazo guides, which no one else has up on the internet, so check that out for sure. Also, I have the speedrunning guides, the 3-hour speedrun finish on Legendary guides. Have those up as well for every game, Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, and ODST, so check those out if you need those. And I have a bunch of the other random achievements as well, most of them. There's 600 achievements, I have about 400 covered, and I'll have 600 covered eventually in the next 3 or 4 months before Halo 5 drops. So anyway, just follow this path, do the jumps I just did to get up on the roof here, and you can totally bypass a ton of the fights. Also, you saw I shot a beam rifle jackal before jumping up to the ceiling here, so make sure you are aware of him and are ready to shoot him in the face when he pokes his little head out with his tiny little jackal mohawk. So we're going to run up here, and there's actually 2 Ranger Elites, aka Jetpack Elites. So we're going to stick one. You could take an alternate strategy and just try to hide behind the roof thingy you're on, whatever that is, and have them fly by without them seeing you. But I like to just stick them. You usually get a checkpoint about there anyway, so. But for this room, you want to follow this path pretty much exactly. You want to jump up on this crate. I totally missed the jump. How embarrassing. I got pretty lucky that no one started shooting at me. Usually you got to be pretty quick about that, but just go in here. And you want to do this fairly quickly. Run in there pretty quickly. Sometimes if you're slow and you don't do it quick enough, there's actually a couple jackals that spawn in here as well. But the minimum will be 2 brutes. And you can see I killed one by sticking them, and the other one I'm just going to shoot in the face. And that was horrifying. They threw 2 grenades at me, one behind me and one in front of me. I don't know how I survived, but we made it. And we're going to go through this lift, bridge, whatever it is. There's a sword crate here, so I'm going to switch out for a better one. And I'm going to jump up here again. And we're going to be pretty safe up here. No one ever shoots at you or anything. Even if they do, they're only going to fire a few glancing shots and not really do much damage to you as long as you keep moving. If you're not comfortable moving through this area as quickly as I am, obviously slow it down a little bit. You don't want to fall off into the big battle between the brutes and the elites. That would not be good. But at this point, you want to fall down and get into this lift so you get shot across at an optimal speed. You could walk across if you want, but you would just be wasting a little bit of time and lose some of your time multiplier. At this point, there is going to be 3 brute shot brutes up there, so you're going to want to take them out with your carbine as quickly as you can. And there's also a crate of carbine ammo to your left at this point, so use that. I'm going to grab some ammo myself in a second once I'm done with these brutes. So there's 3, killed them all right there. Here's the crate. It's kind of knocked over. Sometimes it is knocked over, sometimes it's not. Depends if the brute shot brutes up there knock it over or not. At this point, you could do this little trick I'm about to do. It's pretty easy, especially with Sputnik on. So you definitely want to have Sputnik on for this trick. It makes it a lot easier. I'm not sure if it's doable. It probably is doable without it. Actually, I'm not sure, but just jump on this pot. There's a little bush in it. And just jump and brute shot yourself up and over the wall. You can see I kind of got pushed off the wall at that point, but we're going to try again. And we got it. You want to inch yourself away from the wall a little bit so you don't hit your head on the top of the wall and get pushed away like I did the first time. But you can see by doing that, we actually despawned all the enemies in this section. So there's that. There is a very easy way to skip all these enemies even without despawning them. There's a fresh sword crate right there if you'd like to trade out your brute shot for a sword again. I don't really use the sword too much at all. I don't think I use it at all at this point anyway. But at this point, just go through here. There's going to be an elite that spawns with his back to you. Just assassinate him for some easy points. There's going to be 4 or 5 grunts that run around this corner. So just shoot them in the face. I think it's 4, probably 4. And killed him. Just decided to unload on him, even though he didn't have his face to me. This guy you could unload on. He's got invisibility. He's an invisible elite. But since he is invisible, he has way less shielding than normal. So you could pretty easily just shoot him with a carbine and kill him. This guy, just stick him right as you get into the room. There was carbine ammo that I jumped on a crate up there. That guy you could just stick. That guy's always in that area, so you could prepare for him to stick him as well. Move up to that door, it'll open, and there will be a jackal and a brute. I think it's 2 jackals and 1 brute that walk through. So you could have some of the grunts and elites fight the jackals and brutes, so they're kind of distracted, making it easier to take pot shots at them from the side, kind of, and they also thin out their numbers for you anyway. I lied, I do use the sword here. I usually don't do this, but you could totally do this if you want. I didn't even get the kill. A grenade, a random grenade that was thrown, totally splattered him by propelling that crate right at him after he was weakened from my sword, so I didn't even get points for that. This guy, I'm just going to stick him, because why not? I also have the jacked skull on. I'm sorry I keep going back and forth between different strategies for getting points, but I have the jacked skull on. That is a skull that does not allow you to get into a ground vehicle unless you hijack it, but there's no vehicles in this level at all anyway, so it's kind of a freebie in regards to boosting your score for no reason, so throw that on for sure. And at this point, I like to move forward. I don't really like to engage right away. I like to let the numbers thin out as they fight each other. There's the brutes, jackal, and buggers versus the elites. And I think there might be a couple grunts up there too. I don't know. But just let them kill each other pretty much, and then you could kill the remainders. And once they're all dead, come on, drone. There we go. Once they're all dead, move up, but be careful because there could be an elite still alive hiding behind one of these pillars or crates. But you want to move forward by backing up while looking up there. And usually you could just wait to see the checkpoint. But once you get a checkpoint, just go back the way you came. That signifies that those 2 drones are going to come down. And we're going to let those guys fight each other again. So it's the 2 buggers versus those 2 grunts. And I think there's 3 elites. Maybe 3 grunts, 2 elites, I don't know. There's a handful of enemies versus only 2 buggers, so it seems a little one-sided, but hopefully they take each other out somewhat. And there's a beam rifle you could take from that jackal, and there's also a crate of beam rifles as well, so you could take out the remaining elites and the grunts. You have plenty of ammo, because again, there is a crate of beam rifles, unless the crate of beam rifles was sent off the map in an explosion. It's kind of a narrow area. We're on a bridge here, so it's definitely possible. So that would be unfortunate. But fortunately for me, the beam rifle crate is right up here. There it is, I found it. So I'm going to use my current beam rifle until I run out, or until I move on to the next area at least. This section, you get a checkpoint right here normally. There's 4 grunts, so try to headshot those guys as much as you can. The hunters, we could just stick. And when you stick a hunter, a lot of the times they either freeze, and you could shoot them in the unarmored section, the orange section, which is just their exposed wormy section, and you can see you could one-shot kill them by doing that with a beam rifle. So it's either going to be you shoot them or you stick them with a plasma grenade, it explodes and they freeze, allowing you to shoot into the gap in their armor, or they're going to turn around and run away when the grenade explodes, which is really weird. I don't know why that happens, but it is a thing that happens, so take advantage of it. So I've exchanged my beam rifle for a fresh one. I moved into this section. Normally that fuel rod elite does not notice you, and he, you know, obviously is just focusing on the brutes he's fighting. But that time he was looking at me for some reason, and I went back into here for cover. I like to help out the elites a little bit. Right now it's basically elites and the 2 hunters versus the brutes. The brutes actually have reinforcements though, while the 2 hunters and elites do not. So you want to kind of see the elites survive for a little bit so they could take on the second wave of brutes. At this point, the hunter started charging me, so I kind of freaked out a little bit and ran to the left for some reason. But you can see here that the second wave of brutes just came out of the doors here, so I'm going to just hightail it out of here and let them continue their fight. So this is the last wave of brutes. These are the only brutes left in the level, and they're going to fight these elites. Hopefully their numbers will thin themselves out so I could easily just pick off the last 1 or 2 people. And this guy's just standing there, so I'll stick him. Keep an eye on things. Pick off any easy kills you can. You don't want to pick off like only one side. You don't want to just kill all the elites or all the brutes, because then that would leave an entire other side of enemies you have to contend with afterwards. So if you pick off an elite, pick off a brute, and vice versa. So it kind of keeps the sides even. And obviously double kills, multi-kills in general will help your score, and sprees will help your score. Should have mentioned that earlier. Once all the enemies are dead in this section, move up to that pedestal, and Cortana will be like, oh my god, friendlies, Miranda and Johnson, oh my god, they're everywhere. It's like their main characters or something. And then walk over here to bring Cortana to this pedestal, and she'll be like, this way, chief, and open up this door. I like to try to grab the fuel rod if it's still available from that elite that was killed previously, and try to just unload on those 5 or so elites that come through that door. They came through a little earlier than I expected, so I was kind of unprepared and reloading while that happened. But I like to have the beam rifle ready for this part. I like to just unload and throw a grenade or 2 in there right at the start, and then I just back up and take out the remaining elites with my beam rifle. 1 at least is invisible. I think there's 2 invisible elites. I believe I killed 1. I switched to the old graphics because I think there's still 1 invisible elite alive, so I wanted to take him out. And it's easier to see invisible elites with the old graphics, actually. It's easier to see invisible enemies in general with the old graphics. And there he is. He's on the wall. When they get up on the railings like that, they kind of just stand there, and, you know, and there's another one. You can see him right there. It's hard to kind of see him, but they kind of get stuck on those railings, and if they do wind up on those railings for whatever reason, just from an explosion or something, or they dive out of the way and land on a railing, they kind of just stay there and don't jump off of it, and they're kind of just a sitting target. But you could see that even if that whole room is clear at the end, you may not be in the clear because of the fact that elites may be, you know, sitting on those stupid railings, which is annoying. So be on the lookout for those guys, but that is it. Thank you very much for watching. Click like and subscribe, leave a comment, follow me on Twitter at HaloCompletion, and I'll see you later for more achievements, guys.